All right, everyone, I've got 10 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get going here. First of all, thank you all for attending. For those of you who are in person, appreciate it. Those who are attending virtually, appreciate it as well. For those who are attending virtually, we do have an option for questions in the chat, and we'll be announcing those so that everyone can hear them as we go along here, and we'll kind of stop as we go through the presentation. Through kind of each segment. That way we can answer any questions that you guys may have. We would like it to be interactive. You know, this is not a formal setting. We want you guys to learn as much as possible. We will be sticking around after the presentation. If you hear anything that you'd like more information on, we'll have business cards, contact information. And really the goal is just to help educate, give you a high-level overview of some of the things that we're doing to help protect our customers, our community, and anyone who is looking for financial security. Our goal is to help educate. So our goal is not to sell anything here today. It's really just all knowledge. I'm Matt Stark. I've been with the bank that it's easy to use and that our customers understand that it can be a benefit. I understand technology can be scary and challenging at times, as it seems like a lot of the fraud is generated through those channels. But really, if it's used the right way, it can be a huge benefit and be more secure for you versus some of the traditional methods. So we're going to go over some of those things. And the last thing I'd really like to say too is, you know, we want to be a resource for you guys. We want to be a resource for anybody who may see something funny or has a question about what's going on. There's so many different attempts at fraud, and, you know, whether you're on fixed income at this point or whether you're still working, money is a very valuable thing, and we all need it, right? And we all want to keep that protected. So our goal at Bank of Springfield is to be here for you, be a resource, and here to help. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Danielle here in a second, but some of the topics we're going to cover for you is going to be better protected from fraud with online banking. There we go. Thank you. E-statements, card secure, which is a fraud protection for using your debit cards, online bill pay and Zelle, and external transfers. And then at the end, we'll kind of touch on a checking product that we have. It's called the Classic 50 Plus, and there's some additional benefits with that. And I am also going to introduce a new employee that we're very excited to have here at BOS with a lot of experience. And a lot of you met her as you checked in, but those virtually, Joan Kellerman has joined us, and she's heading up our Classic 50 group. So we're very excited to announce her, and she'll have a few words towards the end. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Danielle. And like I said, any questions you have, raise your hand. We'll get those addressed. Don't be shy. If you're not comfortable, again, we'll be here after the presentation to answer any of those questions as well.
Well, that was a great introduction, Matt. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to see everybody's faces here today. So I have been with the bank for about 4 years now in our online banking department and moving into bank security. So if you have any questions, definitely a good resource. Us too is fantastic, but we have a great team downstairs that'll be happy to answer your questions if you call in at any time. So we're going to start this off with why you should enroll in e-statements. And I will ask a blanket question for everybody. Has anybody enrolled in e-statements before at all? No? Okay. Oh, I have. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Thank you. So e-statements are a great way to receive your statements online, and they're quick to sign up with. So as you can see on the screen, that you can do it on your online banking profile through the website and not the mobile app at this time, but you can view them on the mobile app. So if we can go on to the next slide. So this is just a little screenshot of what it looks like when you enroll for your online e-statements. The best way to keep yourself secure is to having less of a paper trail. So this will help reduce the paper waste and actually takes off a $2.50 fee if you have our regular checking account. But if you have Classic 50, I'm pretty sure it is free. For this one, you can see that there's a confirmation code box, so that way we can make sure it is you actually providing the information for that you want to switch over to e-statements. And we can go on. Yep. So this just states that you have signed up for e-statements already. So this is what you'll see right after you enroll. At the bottom, it just gives you a little rundown of how to find your e-statements online.
Back in business here. We'll hand this back and forth. What I should have mentioned as well is we are probably going to go through this a little fast. Don't worry about taking a bunch of notes or anything like that. We'll have representatives to help guide you through anything that you see here. If you want it all, we'll trade contact information and make sure that anything that was presented today we'll share with you guys. So we're on Card Secure now? Okay. Any questions on the e-statements? Really the big goal with e-statements is to take them out of the paper mailing circulation. So much mail gets stolen. And it's scary, if you see your statements and you write checks, there's an image of your checks on the statements. There can be some sensitive information. So anything that we're able to take out of public circulation is a good thing. And it takes a secure login to get to those e-statements, which is beneficial. Seeing none, no questions in the chat?
Not yet.
Okay, very good. We'll move on.
So this obviously a lapel mic, so if you hear it clicking around, we'll go as we go. Okay, so Card Secure is the next thing that we're going to take a look at. And Card Secure is a functioning app that we have to work in tandem with our mobile app, or you can use it independently. So this will be able to have you turn off and on your debit card. So let's say you guys were having a wild night out, right? And you lost your debit card, can't find it. You can go in the Card Secure app and you can turn off your debit card completely for all purchasing and all spending until you're able to either contact us or find your debit card or anything like that. And you can set your spending limits, you can set different locations you can spend things in, and like how you want to use your debit card. So, yep, and then the last one on there is just notifying you, the customer, of any kind of activity that is done on your debit card. So it'll go directly to your phone. You can sign up for text message alerts, or you can sign up for email alerts as well. So whatever you prefer, it goes straight to there. Yes, ma'am.
The spending limits.
Uh-huh.
So speaking hypothetically, let's
Okay.
say mine's set at 500, but I were gonna get a plane ticket to go visit the grandkids. And so I have to spend 800. Is
Right.
that what that means?
Correct. Yes. So you can lower or raise your spending limit to fit your needs for whatever that day is. So let's say you're on an account with your daughter or your grandchild, something like that. You could always set their limit for the day. And then if they need it raised, you could raise it if you would like, or you can say, nope, you need to go down to $100 a day. So.
So you do on a couple different things.
Oh, yeah, it's really useful for different things that you need, yeah. But if you had that plane ticket hypothetically, you could raise it up for yourself, that's fine
Yeah,
too.
because I know that sometimes they're set for a certain amount, and if you go.
Oh, yeah.
let you pull it
Yep,
out.
it is completely up to you how you want to use that, and you can set whatever limits you need that you think you would benefit from. Okay, so the next one, we're going to talk a little bit about Zelle, it looks like. So has anybody used any kind of third-party money sending service like Venmo, PayPal, anything like that? Okay, so we're familiar with that. So Zelle is like that, but it's integrated into our online banking app. And you can use it just like you would for Venmo, but since it is through our institution, it's a little bit more secure than most third-party sending apps. So we manage everything on here, and we actually have restrictions placed on there. So if there's any way that people will get your information, we're the first ones that you can contact and actually get it stopped or returned or anything that you need. We're here to help with that. So it's way more efficient and a little bit safer than most services. I can't say it isn't without risk, because if you send it to someone who like, here's my number, send me this, but it's not them, I mean, we can't guarantee 100% that it's going to be safe. But since we were monitoring it, it is much more safe than other places. Would you like to?
Question.
Yes. On Zelle, if you're paying for a party, say they have PayPal or Venmo, Can you do a transfer between Zelle and PayPal and Venmo, or do they have to have the Zelle there?
Yeah, the question is, if you are sending via Zelle, but the third party may have PayPal or Venmo or a different service, can they be intermixed essentially? The answer is no. Each channel is its own. So Venmo has its own channel where they monitor their transactions. PayPal, same thing. You may have heard of Cash App that Apple provides. Zelle is really its own channel for money movement. And the reason behind that, Zelle is really owned by the big 6 banks. And why we try to promote it is the security, because banks share a database, where we can share fraud trends and things like that. And so, say there's a bad actor on Facebook or whatever it is, and there's a number out there and they're known to be a mule or a fraudster, the banks share that and they shut that down on that channel. So if we're going across multiple channels, that makes that a little bit more difficult to capture. So
the other party has to have Zelle also.
that's correct. Yeah. And most banks participate in Zelle. It's becoming more and more popular. We've seen our numbers increase just as, better security, and the more it gets out there, the more people use it. I think everybody knows about Venmo just because you hear it, you hear it all the time. So Zelle's becoming like that as well with additional security. Yep. Good questions. Thank you. Anybody else have anything? Okay, very good.
That was a good point, Matt. Thank you. And personally, I have used Zelle for years since it first came out. I think it was, I can't remember, 6, 7 years ago now that it's really prominent. And I started using it back then, and it was a game changer because it's just super easy to use and you don't have to worry about it being super insecure. So let's see, this is just a overview of what it looks like on your online banking once you enroll into Zelle. So this is on the website right here. And you can see where you can request, send, and you can split transactions. So if you need to request something from somebody and you need to send money out, you can do that all in one transaction instead of 2 or 3. Activity just shows you what kind of pending information you have. So if let's say Sally sent you $50, you'll see it on that page right there. And the settings tab is where you can just change all of your information if needed. So you can update phone numbers and emails for sending and receiving. And we can go to the next slide. Okay, next, and I'm going to touch on, let's see. Yeah, that's what we need to go. Can we go back to bill pay, please? I think I skipped over that. Okay, so bill pay is a good option to have as well. It works with Zelle at the same time. So when you enroll in bill payment, you have the option to enroll in Zelle as well. So bill payment you can use to pay, as you can see, Ameren bills, CWLP, any kind of recurring transactions that you have, you can pay through here. And it's all safe and secure since it is through the bank instead of going on to Ameren's website where something could happen by whatever reason it could. So you can set up utility, phone, insurance, anything like that through here. And if we go to the next slide, you can see an example. Okay, so this is just a generic fill out of this page. So I chose Ameren as the example company. You just take the information directly from your bill that you have and enter it right on the screen, and you'll be able to pay your bill that way instead. And it's sent out as either a paper check or an electronic payment. So it depends on whatever the company would like to receive. And we can go to the next slide.
Adding this.
Yes, ma'am.
Isn't it just making a third party come in on already you dealing directly with Ameren? And now going to Zelle is you're kind of pulling in yet another.
Well, Zelle would be,
Pulling in Ameren
yeah.
every month.
Which that's just fine. So this is more of just a centralized location if you wanted to pay your bills all in one place instead of going to different places. No, that was just my example one of how to fill it out. Yeah. So if I had my internet payment, my Ameren, CWLP, credit card payments, you could upload them all on there and then just pay them directly out of bill payment. And Zelle would just be for sending money back and forth to friends and family. So it's 2 separate things. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so, yes, sir, what's that?
On the bill pay, so if it's going by check or whatever.
Correct.
You use a third party, is that correct?
Kind of, bill pay would be, more of like the third party itself, but it is integrated into our online banking. So we work with them in tangent. So they would send out paper checks or electronic payments on your behalf. So it's like you're sending it, but they are the ones creating the payments. Yes. Do we have any other questions before we continue? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, when you use the, that system to pay bills, bill payment, does everything get paid electronically or do you have to actually issue checks for some?
It is all electronic in the sense that it is generated from bill payment. So all you have to do is just click a button and it sends it out. So whether the agreement with that company that you're paying is a paper check or electronic, it's just up to them on that portion.
And so that would delay the payment a little bit depending on.
Slightly, it depends. It's basically just like mailing out a check, really, but you don't have to write anything.
We have a checking account at US Bank and whenever I try to pay our mortgage payment from that checking account over to Bank of Springfield.
Right.
It's delayed. And
Yeah.
I guess it's because they have to do a check.
It could very well could be, but we will touch on a product that we do have that might be a little bit easier for use for loan payments at Bank of Springfield or anywhere else. So that one, hopefully that'll answer some questions for you too. But yeah, you're welcome.
So with the bill pay system, a couple of things is the way it's determined whether it's electronic or it actually sends a check is on the vendor themselves, the payee. So when you see the list, like Ameren, big company, right? So they take tons and tons of payments. So they've turned those into electronic. If you're paying a smaller vendor, say maybe your trash company that may not be as big, it's more local, then it's going to go ahead and cut a check. But what keeps it secure is that we do, a lot of times when they cut the check, they use a pseudo check number and account number. So our vendor is actually creating that payment on your behalf. So you put it, so they debit your account and then they create a check. So your account information may not be exposed, which helps it keep more secure. And then going back to your payment from another bank to us with the mortgage, as we continue to grow, we actually keep that list and we send it to our vendor and tell them to turn that electronic, and we do that periodically. So don't be surprised if in the near future those payments don't start becoming electronic for you. So is there any other questions on bill pay or Zelle? Does everybody understand the difference between the two?
I use the electronic bill payment online. And when I'm trying to figure out what day to use, it'll say expedite. What's the expedite fee?
So the expedite just is that term. It just means that you can speed up that process. So instead of sending very regular mail, they'll send it overnight. But then they expect you to pay the postage for that. So, what I would just keep in mind if it is some sort of loan payment or car payment that you're making, think about the grace period that you have, but then also maybe schedule those. I like to do mine about 5 days in advance of when it's actually due, just to give the mail service a little bit more time. Good question. Any other questions on that? Anything from the chat? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Say cut a check, you guys do you actually mail it then?
We do. Yep. So it goes through the bill pay provider. So what happens is so all the customers that we have, they go in, they pay their bills, and the system just then takes those and it cuts checks, and they all look the same, which also helps with fraud because those are altered by any way. It's very detectable. And then they send those on your behalf. Yep. Anybody else? Anything from the chat? Okay, very good.
Okay, so this is what I was talking about with you just a second ago, is the external transfer feature. So this one we offer that you can have to send like loan payments if you want, if you have one from here or a different bank, you can use it that way. You can like transfer funds just back and forth. It's basically all it's for. So it's, if you think about it in the term that it's like kind of like Zelle, but it's just for your personal use instead. So you have to be on both accounts at both banks. So if I was on an account at UCB, I could send it to myself. Let's see, there is a limit on the transfer, so you can send up to 10,000. Now, if you had a special case where you needed it raised up, you could always contact our call center department and we'd be able to help you get that raised up so you can send your payments through. And you can set up reoccurring payments. So like if you had a loan payment, you could set it up on a schedule so you make sure your payments are done on time. And it is very, very safe, as it says right there, since it is transferring between your own accounts and not somebody else's accounts. The only time that you would have any kind of issue is that if you weren't on the other account. So that's the only time anything would happen. Does anybody have any questions about that before we continue? Okay, so we can continue on if we're ready. So this just shows a quick example of what the transfer page looks like. So you can see where it's already set up for that client. And you can see it's from Bank of Springfield to People's Bank. And you have the sending date. You can make it reoccurring. And you can do the expedite as well for $5 to send it through. If you, let's say you're at the end of your grace period, you have to make the loan payment. You could send it out overnight and it would receive to us next day. And yeah, so that is pretty straightforward and simple. Yes, ma'am?
I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. That's what we're here for.
This is external transfer. So could it be me living here in Illinois, speaking hypothetically, my son, older son, maybe lives in Florida. Can I send my money to him instead of going the old way that we used to through, whatever it was where you transfer the money?
Right.
We could do it, I could just do it right from my bank now to his checking account?
If you were on the account with him, then we would be able to do
His
that.
back in where he
Yeah,
lives.
right. So if you're on that account with him, you can send it back and forth using this, or you can do it through Zelle as well. So Zelle would probably be the best option for that. There is a $1,000 limit for the most part. So if you needed to send more than that, obviously you can contact our call center and we can help you with that. But that would be the best way to send it back and forth.
Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I think we can continue if there's no other questions for that. Good, okay. So this one, I'm just going to give a quick rundown and I'll let Matt handle the rest of it. He's very knowledgeable in the fraud thing. So how do they keep you better protected from fraud? As it says on here, it just cuts down on paper trails so you don't have any worry about somebody snagging your statement out of the mailbox or anything like that. And the security with the online channels is very secure. Since we're a bank, we have everything protected for you. So I think Matt has lots to say about that.
I do, thank you. So I want to ask, how many use the mobile app that we have in place? Okay, so how many are using their fingerprint or their face to get logged into it? Okay, very good. So when we talk about security, well, all right, let me ask this. How many are just using a regular desktop computer or a laptop to log in more frequently? Or a tablet? Yeah, okay, very good. So each product that we offer, we keep secure. When we talk about the mobile app using fingerprint and Face ID, those are called biometrics. And to get into some of these products, and each one of them you can obtain by using the mobile app or the online channel, what we try to do is keep the security there up front. So then by the time you get in to use these products that are electronic, the security has been already vetted. So when you start talking about the other means of getting your banking, that's just how it becomes less secure. We highlighted a couple of the items that we offer through those channels. There's plenty more. We have things such as alerts that you can set up where you get a real-time alert via text or email. And we can certainly walk through those as well with each and every one of you. And what that does is anytime maybe a check or a debit card transaction or an ACH comes through, it's going to send you a message right away. And then there are certain things such as login attempts. If someone tried to log in and it recognized that, it would send you an email or a text and you say, oh, I didn't do that. I'm going to contact my bank immediately. So we got a lot of real-time alerts, real-time options in order to keep you guys protected. And what I really wanted to go back is kind of each product that we touched on, kind of embed that back into our fraud conversation. So being better protected is being aware, knowing what's out there, identifying those fraudulent attempts and verifying outside of the original means in which you're attempted to get contacted. So if you get an email from Netflix saying your subscription is overdue, you need to pay $200 immediately. Well, that's kind of strange, right? A lot of people have Netflix, but the best way to handle that is then to call Netflix directly. Do not respond back to the email. Do not click on the links. Find a different way to communicate with them and understand what they're trying to do, because many times that is fraud. How many people have gotten a text message saying that they're Amazon or Facebook or something? Yeah. I get them almost every day with a link in there saying, take immediate action, So we want to try to verify those things outside of the original communication. We don't want to text back because you're just interacting with the bad actor at that point. So really what we're trying to provide here today are just those means to help better protect yourselves. And we see it every day. The fraudsters are getting very clever. They're really good. They pull at your heartstrings a lot of times, whether it's a puppy or a child or a great nephew or whoever it is, they really try to attack your emotions. So e-statements is a great way to help protect yourself. Card secure, the real-time debit card monitoring and able to turn it off and on is great. We have controls in the background running all the time as well to look at high risk scores. So if you were in Florida and you made a purchase at a gas station there and all of a sudden there's a transaction in Denver, we're going to catch that. We're going to stop that. We're going to contact you because that's strange. Another thing with card secure is you can turn off certain ways of shopping. Like myself, I never shop online. I just don't do it. My wife, different story. So I can turn online shopping off for me, but she can have that turned on. So, there's just different controls to help fit what your lifestyle is and your spending habits. We talked about the limits. So if I know I'm never going to take out $500 in cash, that's just not going to happen. But $100, maybe so. Okay, so I can drop my limit down to $100, and that just helps better protect my finances. So there's just simple things like that. And again, we can go through those things with you guys individually if you want to stick around. The online bill pay, like you said, it's an efficiency tool. It's nice to have that in one spot for paying your bills. I understand going to those individual vendors can be nice because you know that your payment's been made, right? You know that it's been made. But you could also have, if you're unfortunate like me, we got 20 different places that we had to pay. So going to each one of those, sometimes we forget. The wife does that too, so I don't forget. But and then Zelle, we talked about that a little bit. Sending money to people that you want to know who they are. You want to have that interaction first. So sending to people you don't know or buying something online using Zelle, probably not a good idea. And then the external transfers, being able to securely send money back and forth between your own accounts is a great option, whether it's for a mortgage payment or if you've got a savings account, that maybe have a better interest rate or something like that you want to send that money to at a different institution. Hopefully that's here, but we understand that as well. And then, so before I jump into the Classic 50 area, does anybody have any more questions on those products? I know we kind of went a little fast, but it's just kind of a high level. It looks like we got a couple here.
If you do automatic pay from, say, your insurance company and that sort of thing, how do you go about changing it? You have to notify the insurance company and say, I'm changing how I'm going to be paying these bills. And
so you're talking about they come in and directly pull it from your account. You would need to notify them, otherwise you may be doubling up on that payment.
And then I would overdraft.
Right, yeah. However, as much as we like our services, that's not a bad way to do it either. As long as you've authorized that and you've got those controls in place, that's not a bad way to do it. Same with the mortgage payment. If your main account is at a different bank, we do have the ability to do an auto transfer. and we'll just pull it for you automatically without you having to write a check or go into an online program. And you know, that sometimes is scary because you don't want people pulling money out of your account, but you know, you got to trust some of your sources, especially as your financial institution. So that answer your question? Okay. And I think we had another question.
Yeah, this is off that subject, but I had the mobile app for quite a while. I'm getting ready to buy a new phone, but eventually I got a message that to the effect that my system was too old to take care of that mobile app. Is that right?
It is. So the way it works is we have a processor behind the scenes. But what happens is things like Apple and Android and Samsung, those providers, what happens is they stop supporting the old versions and they stop updating them. And the reason they start discontinuing that is because there's vulnerabilities within those systems. If they're not updating them anymore, there's security patches and all kinds of stuff that they do on a regular basis. So if it's old and no one's paying attention, it's a vulnerability, and the fraudsters and hackers know that. So they can expose your device or your information. And that's why, especially financial. So if you use Edward Jones or American Funds or whatever the case is, they're going to have similar things as well in place, just to help protect. And I know it's inconvenient, but it's to help better protect your information.
So if I buy a new phone, that'll
It will.
take care of it.
Yep. Yep. And that's a great point. I know we're not talking much about IT, but if you do have smartphones, make sure you're updating the software releases whenever those come out, because a lot of those updates are patches and security updates.
Can I add to that?
You can.
So you don't necessarily need the newest phone, like, you know, the iPhone 14, but if you buy it newer, so it's an iPhone 8, but it was recently made, your iOS is going to be most up to date. So you don't necessarily need the fanciest phone, but you do need a newer one, if that makes sense.
Thank you, McAllister. That's McAllister from Bank of Springfield in our marketing department. Do you have a question? We can, in any questions, we can also address afterwards and show you if you have your device. We'll be glad to help you guys after the presentation as well. I want to talk a little bit, if there's no other questions, about our Classic 50 Plus account. And we also have Glenn Haynes here from our Chatham location. He really works on that account a lot and helps enroll a lot of people. And our Classic 50 Plus is your regular checking account with a little bit more bells and whistles. And a lot of it is surrounded by credit monitoring. There's fraud alerts that come with it. There's some protections that come with that account. And I want to share a quick story that happened to our COO of the bank. And a lot of people think the COO of a large institution would be pretty protected, information not really exposed. Well, it was over the Christmas break, and he received an alert because he was enrolled in the Classic 50 Plus, and got a real-time alert saying that his credit had been dinged. So he opened up his app or his product. He got an email as well. So there's multiple channels that he got contacted, and it told him exactly where it came from, what numbers to call so that he could follow up on it. Because he was just baffled that his identity could be taken advantage of, and it was an attack on his identity. And he was pretty worried, but it was, I believe it was 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and he was able to contact those agencies, get his credit locked so nothing else could happen. So he's able to freeze that. He's able to get a hold of where that came from, let them know that there's a bad actor using his information. They shut that down, and he was able to do all this within an hour. Of knowing that someone was trying to take his identity. And so I really just want to share that as a tool and as kind of a powerful message that the Classic 50 Plus is just a nice option. How many have that product or have heard about that product that we offer?
We've got people online raising their hands as well.
Okay, very good. Yeah. So, Again, it's just an added benefit that Bank of Springfield wants to offer and help protect our customers. And that's just a good example of, what's out there. That's a COO who is very attuned of what's happening each and every day, and it happened to him. Looks like we got some more questions.
Yeah, I have a question on that. Because my wife and I have been victims of identity fraud, okay, and just fairly about a year or so ago. And so our credit card was used actually in Georgia at Macy's for $5,000 worth of furniture, which, so the credit card company contacted us and asked if we had authorized that transaction. We had not. But there's a system called Check Systems, which we're enrolled in now, which monitors across banks and so on and so forth. Do you guys participate in that?
I don't believe we do any longer. We did years back, and not that that's a good program. So highly recommend it. We use a system called Early Warning now at our new account desk. But we also use some anti-money laundering options as well. But one of the things that we like to promote is we do have our Classic 50 Plus, which has some of that monitoring. But then we also recommend, I don't know if anyone's heard of LifeLock, where you can freeze your credit. The only time that can be a hassle is if you're going to buy a car, you need to finance something. But LifeLock is a good option as well. There's a few others out there where you can credit monitor and make sure everything is in line. We do monitor transactions such as that as well. So if we did see something on a bank issued card, we would contact you as well. And shut that down. I hope you're able to get that disputed and get your money back right away. But
Well, we were fortunately they were able to lock the transaction, so it didn't go through.
Good.
So
Very good. Yep. Yeah. That is scary. Yeah. You had a question?
I answered. I was wanting to know the cost for the plus.
Sure. Yep. Yeah. So each one of your folders, you have more information on the Classic 50 Plus. So that's in there. So browse through that. If you have detailed questions or anything, you can reach out to Glenn, and then, anybody else. Do we have questions from the chat? We do not. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions before I let Joan step up and say a couple words? Yes, ma'am.
If you decide to go with one of those programs, is there somebody here at the bank that you could come over and maybe get some help?
Yes. So each one of our branches, we've got personal bankers that will be glad to walk you through any of the products. And then we also have a full service call center. And chances are, if you ever called in the bank, you may have talked to Danielle. So we have a whole team down there that can walk you through that. So yeah, we're glad to help set you up, get you enrolled. A lot of times it can be kind of tricky initially. Once it's set up, it's easier. So sometimes we can set it up for you and then just walk you through what you need to do from there. So we want to make it easy for you.
In the brochure, it says your debit and credit card registrations. Are those Chase's and everybody else's, or just Bank of Springfield credit cards?
Those would be Bank of Springfield's. Yep. Yeah. We should be the only institution you're banking with. No, I'm just kidding.
I've asked them to. I kind of been stuck with Bank of Springfield. Matt and I knew each other by name and telephone, but didn't know each other personally until the last session we had. So
I want to give a compliment. I'm in the process of moving and didn't realize that I had misplaced the new debit card that they had mailed me. And I was trying to use it at the ATM in Chatham and told me that my card was out of date, expired. So I came in upstairs and they made me one in I think I was here 5 to 10 minutes, and they made me one and gave it to me on the spot. And I thought they would be mailing it and I'd get it, in a week or two, and 5 to 10 minutes, I had it in my hand. And I thought This is pretty sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, we do, for those of you that know, we do have instant issue cards that we can print right here. And again, it kind of goes back to circumventing the regular mail service. Things get lost, they get in the wrong hands. And if you're able to walk out of a branch with what you need, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
I would like to make a point real quick. This is just really touching back on the fraud and for people receiving text messages and such. The one way that you can determine if it is true or if it is, false is the sense of urgency within the text messaging and the email, anything like that is like, I need this right now. You have to do this now. Like anything like that, just automatically stop, call our call center, call the bank, call your contact, anything like that. And let's say you had a debit card alert. I'm sure some of you have had like the fraud alerts on your debit card that we contact you about. If you receive a call and you're not too sure who it is, just hang up. We're not offended. Just call the bank so we can make sure that you are protected. So I just wanted to make that point real quick because it is very important to know. So, yes, ma'am.
Just for information, I had somebody help me recently. I got one of the Amazon, I think it was the Amazon thing.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And she pointed out to me, she's a computer person. At the top, it said that it was sent to 20 people.
Right.
And she said, that's a dead giveaway right there. They're not going to send it to 20 people.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's one thing.
That is a very good point, yes, because I had just received one of those the other day as well, where I was in a group with about 20 as well, and so did McAllister, yeah. So very good point to bring up. So if you have any speculation that it could be fraud, just stop automatically and call. So the less information you give out, the better, of course, but if we have stuff in place to make sure you're protected, so.
If you're having trouble logging in and they'll say, call me.
Yes.
Is that staffed 24 hours?
Not necessarily. So we have people in the call center from 7:30 in the morning till 5:30 at night. So anytime the bank is open, we are here.
Okay.
Yep.
There is a forgot password option as well. And we keep that secure by using the out of wallet questions. I'm not sure if you've seen those where it's going to ask you, did you live at this residence? And they'll have those options for you and you got to answer so many out of those correct. So another way to keep it secure. But yeah, we're not 24/7 quite yet. I don't know if we'll get there, maybe a little while, but we've looked at options to have, outsourced call centers through our processor and things like that. So that may be coming eventually.
Okay.
Any other questions? Yes.
If you want to switch to the plus, do you just do it out there with the teller or one of the folks at the desk?
Yep, one of the folks at the desk, or we have Mr. Glenn Haynes in the very nice shirt, purple shirt back there that he'd be glad to walk you through that process as well. Yep. All right. With that, I'm going to introduce Joan Kellerman again. She's going to come up and say a few words. Again, we're very excited to have her. We had a Classic 50 program a few years back, and I don't know, some of you may know Roger Bucher. He headed that program up. He retired, and then, we all know about COVID. We don't really want to talk about that, but we are here to revamp that, and I think Joan's got a few words to say about that.
When we reach. Good morning, everyone. And I'm so excited to be here at Bank of Springfield. And I've been working on the trips coming up. And what I find that's the easiest to get us started back traveling again is to use the little day theaters at first. And I like to use the Barn 3 in Goodfield. I like to use the Little Theater in Sullivan, and I do Indiana, the Beef House Dinner Theater in Covington, Indiana. And these were the easiest to get on our brochure to get going. And then on our first brochure, I will also have the ladies' luncheon. and I bring in a different topic each year for that. This year, it's going to be a lady from Freeport, Illinois, demonstrating how she makes her heirloom Santa Clauses. So you've heard of Christmas in July, it's going to be Christmas in June. So, and then what I wanted to say, I welcome anyone to drop by. I'm located here at the 3400 Wabash Branch. I'm on second floor. And you can call me anytime. I welcome people giving me ideas on new trips, new ideas, and I'm at 241-7206. Be happy to meet you and happy to hear any ideas. Any questions?
Will they be sending out that brochure with the trips?
Yes, I'm meeting with our marketing department this afternoon and trying to get it ready to go out. And we wanted to get something out very quickly so that everyone would know the bank is back to traveling again. So that's why I'm doing the day trips right now to get going.
So if you have a classic 50, you'll probably get one?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Just get an email.
Yes.
And all games to St. Louis would be good.
Yes. I like that. We almost did that, but it's a little too early yet to get that in for the new travel program here.
And to the Fox Theater.
Yes, and to the Fox.
Roger always got us primo seats.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I'm actually going to meet with Roger on Friday and hear some of the things and about how he did things, because I'm coming in new here, and over at the other bank, you were just there. I knew the people, I knew what they liked to do. So Roger's going to share with me some of the things he liked to do and knew the people would like to have.
He's talking at the Galleria.
Yes, I've done that. Mm-hmm. I've done that before too. And I used to do a ball game once a year. So.
Fox has really good.
And usually try to pop in a shopping trip each year and to get different places for it. I welcome any ideas.
Mall of America.
Okay. You've got some good ideas. Okay, so please come up and see me and call me. I'd love to hear from you. Okay. Okay.
That's perfect.
All right.
Thank you, Joan. I haven't gotten a fake ID since I was younger, but thinking I need one to be 50 for all these events. So as we wrap up here, I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to come out and learning about what we're trying to share with you. And, obviously this is all about education, all about protecting ourselves and each other. We're all one community, and the more we can combat this stuff and the more we work together, the better off we are. I do want to give a special thanks to our marketing department for putting this on and making this a good event. Joan, thank you. Glenn Haynes is very great at what he's doing with the Classic 50 Plus in our Chatham location. And thank you, Danielle, for presenting today. Very nice job. And with that, thank you to all the virtual attendees. Appreciate it. So with nothing else, we're going to stick around for any questions. Any of the virtual attendees, I believe you've got some contact information. So if you have questions that you didn't think of during the presentation, always reach out, call us, email us, whatever the case is, we're glad to help. So thank you all for coming, and we'll stick around for questions. Thank you.